Well, if you saw last week's video, you'll know that a lot of times your schoolie dream starts right here in the living room of your house, maybe your bedroom or even in your bed as you surf the internet looking for the platform rig of your dreams to convert into your dream home. There are a ton of options out there and even more places to find those options. We've got private sellers on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, classified sections, do those even exist anymore? And everywhere in between, including online auctions, which is what this video is about. And we're picking up where we left off last week, looking at another online auction site. Last week, we took a good look at public surplus, ran out of time, and so this week we're picking up from there, looking at another great auction site, which is GovDeals.org, I believe. But I'm pretty sure it's not a nonprofit. Anyways, we're gonna pick it up and take a look at those things on that auction site and see how they compare to public surplus and see if we can find any good deals on buses that would be a good candidate for your conversion. My name is Chuck Cassidy. Don't go anywhere because this week we are picking up where we left off on school bus conversion schoolie shopping this holiday season. All right, so before we get things started, let's just remind ourselves where we are. We are hypothetically bus shopping for an ideal candidate for a school bus. I talked a little bit more in depth about that in my last video. This week, we are taking a look at GovDeals, and I'm gonna go ahead and put that into my browser now. GovDeals.org, I believe. And I forgot the S. There we go. Here we go. So we're gonna take a look at this. Last week it was Public Surplus, a great site. This is GovDeals, and there are others, but I found it easiest to just pick one and take a look at what they have. So let's take a look here. We're gonna go school bus. Let's see what we get back. 330 results. Okay, well, that couldn't be too bad. Let's narrow that down to transportation. And I'm feeling good about that. And let's look at closing soon. Okay, so just to recap, we're looking for something that probably is going to be 2010 or older just because of the complexity of emission systems on them. And we're also going to be looking for a bus that has very low rust, low miles, desirable engine, all of those things. And let's take a look here. So right now it looks like, Maryland, I don't know what the deal is. They must have a lot of people living there, and I'm sure they do, but man, they're always auctioning tons of buses. And look at this, we have 3, 6, 9 buses. Oh, we gotta look at that one. We got 9 buses from Maryland. Let's just see what they look like, huh? So we're into Hagerstown, Maryland, USA. We got 14 hours left. It's only $1,200. That's cheap. Is it a good deal? Must be towed from our property. So if you see that must be towed clause, that does not mean that the bus cannot run and drive. A lot of times, I know at least here in Colorado, you will see that towed off our property clause simply because if the person or entity selling it is a licensed dealer in this state or an LLC, they have to submit an emissions test with it. If it's sold as an inoperable vehicle, i.e. one that has to be towed, they're not required to provide that emissions test. So you could have the same exact bus or truck or whatever, for example, and if it doesn't have the emissions test and the people selling it don't want to go to the trouble to get one, they will just list it and have that clause in it. So this auction house will have the must be towed clause or have a picture of it being towed, and then once you get the picture, you can drive it off. Funny, but totally common and not something that should scare you away. Now, if it were me, I would of course want to know what's the deal, like can it run and drive, why does it need to be towed? The other thing that you want to take a look at is right here. So 12.5% is the buyer's premium. So the buyer's premium is what you will pay as the buyer over the purchase price to cover, well, whatever the hell they think that covers. And a lot of times it's the seller that sets the buyer's premium. Sometimes it's the auction house. So 12.5%, and keep in mind, in addition to that 12.5%, you could have the sales tax of the local, state, and county where it's sold. in addition to whatever registration and stuff happens. So that's pretty high, 12.5. That's about as high as I've seen it. Usually 10% is the highest, and it will vary somewhere in between. Anyways, let's look at the specs and let's get out of here. So selling is as is, parts only, not operable, must be towed. They don't say why. One of the reasons might be this Max Force 7.6. So you know I love International and I love the DT466, but International did us all dirty with a product called the Max Force. And I think it was 2007 or 2008 when it really rose to prominence, but it's a variant on the DT466 that is just a total piece of junk. It's a boat anchor. You do not want it in your bus. And they say it's serviced every 5,000 miles. Well, if they are getting rid of it after being serviced every 5,000 miles, what are they seeing, perhaps in an oil analysis or something, that makes them want to get rid of it? I would be wondering that. It looks like they have pretty strong boundaries about what you're going to know about this bus before you buy it. As is, parts only, and cables, it only starts with a boost. That's cool, I guess, but it's got scratches. No other information is available about condition of the bus. That's telling. But we looked, right? You gotta look, you gotta be curious. Now, this one really caught my eye. So this 1980 Bluebird utility bus. You'll look above the window here, okay, so I just want to start. I have not looked at any, like we are doing this together live. I have not looked at these beforehand. Looking at this, just right now as it hits me, I feel like this was a total custom build, and I see a lot of overlap with parts that you would find on a Wander Lodge. I swear I haven't looked at this until now, but let's click on this and see what we got. So if you look here, this drip rail across the top, right? All other Bluebirds have a drip rail around each window. This one across the top. The window here, that is definitely not a typical bus window. And this driver window here these are all windows off that I would think you would find on a Wander Lodge. Also up here on that front cap, look at that. No cutouts for flashers. Let's take a look at the rest of these photos and see what we can get. So I'm looking at this, I'm thinking to myself, this looks like a Wander Lodge, a very short Wander Lodge, but totally looks like a Wander Lodge chassis and platform to me. Can we make them bigger? There we go. The back, see how there were never windows in here to start with? Interesting. Okay, dated. This is clearly more of a shell. Interesting. Yeah, really just a shell. Love that old steering wheel. Dang, that's nice. And that fake walnut Formica dash. You gotta love it, am I right? Well, we looked, it's pretty. And what are they asking? Okay, hold on. Boop. See this shifter here? Love that style. It's a Morse Controls shifter. The best shifter for controlling a all mechanical transmission. So we're at 300 bucks. I do not believe we have hit no, I don't see reserve not met, which is fantastic. What's the engine though? You know, it's a good deal or not. Looks like the engine is not listed. I'll be dipped. And oh, here we go. Yeah, down here, which engine and transmission does it have? Well, if you want to know, contact my buddy Dick Del Soto, 479-575-3159, or Jill. Let's leave him out of it. 1980. I would bet everything it's a Caterpillar 3408 or something. Let's see if they list it here. That rear ratio is 4.6, so it'll probably move out pretty good. Ooh, engine serial? Oh, they don't show you. Darn it. Well, that's a funny oddball one, huh? Let's see what else. Ooh, now this is excuse me. I got a little bit fired up when I saw that wheelbase. Hello. We are looking at a 2004 Bluebird TC2000. And let's see how many windows it has. Can we figure it out? I don't know if we can. Nope. Let's do our best though. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ooh, let's see if we can count the shadows in the background. I like that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It looks like 8 windows. If we're looking at just those windows from the other side shining through. So that puts us in the 28-foot range, flat front engine Bluebird. This wheelbase, holy smokes. I mean, that is shorter. That's the same as a full-size pickup. 30,000 pound gross vehicle weight rating, that's high. Boring information, this is all we get. So, you know, dang, this is a tantalizing candidate. Poor pictures, let's see what else they say. Oh, let's look at the windows here. So on the side of the bus, these windows, do you see how they're roughly in line with the height of the doors? That tells us that this is not a high roof option. So the interior height of this bus, probably around 6 foot, 6'2". We're gonna scroll down, 2004, so it's gonna have some emissions controls. It's okay, we'll be fine. The buyer's premium, again, really high on this auction, 12.5%. Jesus, it's in Alabama. From the 3 pictures, I don't see any rust. Whatever. Starts and runs, thank God. 2004 TC2000. So the TC2000 was made by Bluebird. It is not as good as their flagship All-American. However, their All-American was not made in all sizes. So if you want a really small bus like this one, it's probably gonna have to be a TC2000, which is still a great bus. It's just got a simplified dash, less displays. And from what I know, the tensile strength of the steel used in the chassis is not as strong. So anyway, that in mind, maybe it's not the end of the world to you. So we have that bus there, and honestly, it's not the end of the world to me. Looks good. We've got the Eaton transmission. I doubt it's an Eaton transmission. Cummins diesel engine though, that sounds good. That's a great engine, 2004. And I like that it was in service as recently as just about 3 months ago. Oh, look at this. Lots of miles, lots of questions, doesn't have 8. So 30 feet long, there we go. And interior height is 6'3". Nice. This is a really sweet bus. I'm almost regretting sharing it with you. Who are we kidding? I'm not gonna buy it. But that's another really good bus. Dang, okay, let's look at one more and see if we can find a better one. Oh, interesting. Let's find an interesting one. Ooh, okay. Well, let's look at what else is on the, okay. Let's see what's here. This is an oldie. Let's take a look at an oldie. So we got a 1990 Trace GMC P3500. So these are cool. These are really cool buses. I'm like in love with this style of bus because they're short buses, not built on a van chassis, built on a bare chassis with a very like square bread box kind of body profile. And this one, what do we got? We got 7 windows. Yeah, so they would often have the same length as like a, you know, mid-size bus built on a full-size chassis. What's interesting is that if I remember correctly, I think some of these buses, if not all of them, instead of being 8 feet wide, were actually 7.5 feet wide. And between you and me, if you want something that's gonna get you places, like losing 6 inches on the width, pretty sweet. And for the trade-off, you're not gonna notice it too much in the interior living space. So let's see what we got here. For starters, it's from the University of Colorado, my alumni. That's cool. I studied philosophy up there. Again, super high buyer's premium. Is that just the new norm? Has it been that long for me? Looks like we got produce on the side. Big fan of that. For anyone doubtful about thermal bridging, look at the way the snow melts where the ribs cross over on the roof, as I'm sure the warm Colorado sun heats up the interior of the bus, and that heat is then connected through to the skin. Yeah, there you go, melts the snow. Yep, it's a bus. I'm guessing, I don't know if I saw what the length was, but we're probably looking at somewhere around 27 or 28 feet long. Very basic front end. These rigs are the basicest of basic, which kind of makes them amazing because any type of body work you have to do is very simple. Now this build out looks like they just grabbed some cabinets and threw them in there. It's decent, but of course I would get rid of it all. And an interesting tidbit about this style, let me see if I can scroll back. Up in the front here, there's a big window before the door happens, which means this passenger area where you would, typically have a passenger seat is wide open, and it's usually occupied by a big heater and the door mechanism and a bunch of stuff that uses up space that frankly is not a big deal when it's in passenger service, but if you're living out of the damn thing, you want to use up every inch. So if you're creative, you could find good things to do with that. It looks like we're already back to the beginning, which by that I mean the end of this bus. Boy, I gotta be honest with you though, I really like, I don't know what it is, I like these old bread box style Chevys. That's cool. Let's see what they say. So P3500 forward control, whatever, 6.2 liter V8 diesel. So a note about that, in all of the older Chevy diesels, so Chevy, General Motors, and Detroit Diesel, right? They all have a common lineage. Detroit Diesel was one of the very first companies to make an on-the-road, commercial-rated, diesel engine in 1938, straight six, no turbo, but an awesome power horse that existed up until 1991 or 1992. They were still making that sucker. So they had their stuff together. But what's funny is they had whole separate divisions making other motors, diesel motors. And the division in charge of making this V8 diesel, they did a fine job, I guess, but there were some things they didn't consider. And one of the big ones was the injection pump. And they're prone for injection pump failures. Especially the injection pump driver, which is a computer that lives on the pump, would overheat, fail. I'm not sure what a 1993 has. I just know that it's an issue. However, I will say the U.S. military, and it's all's wisdom, used GMC diesels in all their Hummers and stuff for a long time. And, we're still #1 in the world, so what's that worth? I don't know. But the Power Stroke, right, that's a great motor, actually. I can say that. So I only bring it up in this because, it's a potential weakness and something that if I were gonna buy this, I would make sure I wanna know all of the common failure points for that type of diesel engine, before moving forward. We're gonna scroll over, we're gonna pick one more on this, and then I think that's gonna wrap up my, my little tutorial, or whatever you wanna call it, shopping with Chuck. Let's take a look at this Gilla Glow floor. It just popped up, and I like looking at this because this is it's a common bus, honestly, not this particular one, but people often want to know why not do a transit style bus like this one. So let's look at this and talk about it. So right off the hop, looking at the exterior of the bus, as we are, what do we notice? And right now you have to notice the low ground clearance, and that's a real thing. Now, it's not super low, right? But it's definitely a lot lower than a school bus. And if you're going to be driving your rig off the beaten path, I would definitely be hesitant to buy a bus that has this low of a floor. So there's that there. Now, some benefits to this, look at the windows. These windows, I bet, are substantially more watertight than your typical schoolie window. It's, frankly, pretty clear. Look at that. That's a nice window. I also like the visibility more. It's a more modern body style. We have Alcoa rims. It's a nice looking bus, and this thing freaking comes with a two bike bike rack on the front. And it's a rear engine bus, and finding a rear engine bus in this range, which I bet this is around 30 feet or so, is very hard to do. So let's see, how did we do? It's got an 8.9 liter L6 diesel. They don't say the brand. That's too bad. It's got a ton, yeah, so look at this. Very, very minimal information. Could be awesome. It's a 2011. Let's see what's going on here. Goodness, they're not giving us anything, right? Cummins 8.9. I think that's their L10 or something. Air conditioning, yes. Unknown. Tire condition 4. Some cracked glass. Front passenger glass cracked, whatever. Leaking hydraulic oil, radiator, no charge light. Goodness, okay, well look at those. 30 foot though, and that is nice. So we're gonna get out of here, I think, because we don't want that. But let's look at some pictures, just cause. Nice bus, that's the engine. A lot of times these, look at this. That might be the alternator or the air compressor for the air conditioner. Cool vehicles. It was towed. You only do that when it's towed. Interesting. Well, let's look at a couple more. Dang, that was an exciting bus. Here's another one though. Maybe we should look at let's look at this. So this is a shuttle bus type bus. So these are built actually on a heavy duty van chassis. And that can be fine or a big problem depending on how you deal with it. But it generally means that you're going to be operating at the upper limit of what most of these components were designed for in terms of their weight handling. So we will take a look at this. Normal wear and tear. It's a 2011 Chevy Express, 6-liter, gas, I'm sure. Wear and tear, runs and drives. Let's see what's going on. Air suspension works intermittently. Dang it. We hate that. But let's see what we have. So one of the things that I'm not a big fan of when it comes to shuttle style buses is that the bodies are factory fiberglass. And that's cool, like fiberglass is cool. It's actually a very watertight and workable thing, but if you're not good at fiberglass, it's a pain in the butt. And if you don't have a place where you can sand it and deal with it without good dust with good dust extraction, you're gonna be bummed out because this dust and all the things you have to breathe in are just awful. But it's an amazing material. I'm not gonna deny that. So looking at this shuttle, what's appealing about it? Well, first of all, the price, everything's cool there. Look at this though, you know, if we did a roof raise, we could have a nice bed, right, above the cab. And cab overs are cool. That's a cool visibility window. We got that sweet bike rack in the front. That's a nice bike rack. It's so easy. Looking okay. Hard, you know, right? We're not getting much information from these. The interior is clean, and that's all we get. So if I was interested in a bus like this and I see it, like, am I gonna bid on this bus? And let's look at the stats, you know. Normal wear and tear, we have 412,000 miles. That's amazing. Wow. Well, it's a great bus. I wouldn't buy it, but man, a tip of the hat, right, to anything that can get 412,000 miles in commercial service and still stand out. Oh, that's funny. We probably should have looked at that before I looked at this. But hey, give us an opportunity to talk about the pros and cons of a fiberglass body. And let's see what else we have here. I bet these are all the same, Grants Pass, Oregon stuff. I'm gonna save a coach bus for later, you know, and let's round it out with a nice, just simple, straight up school bus from a Thomas school bus from, where are we? Greenville, Tennessee. Nice, American. Nice and American. We got, this bus is 1,000,000 miles long. Let's count the feet, huh? So we got our windows. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 and a half. So we're probably approaching 40 foot on this bus. We got 2 days left, relatively low asking price. I don't see anything disqualifying yet, so let's see what we can find out. Bad photos, not the worst. Nice. What year is this one? Do we know? We don't know. 2007. Will have to be towed. Engine is good. Look at this. Transmission is bad. Damn. It's too bad. Low miles relatively. But it could still be a good deal for you. Look at this. Very clean. I'm not seeing any rust. Like these Thomases, they love to rust. Like down here, all this stuff. Not even a hint. That's all we get, you know, because, and the reason why is they're not going to spend a lot of money trying to sell a bus that ain't worth much. It's got a blown tranny. The funny thing is, I mean, we'll have to know. Someone, if you're out there and you're bored, or you're not bored and you want to do a favor for humanity, watch this listing and see what it goes for, because I would love to know this listing plus the price of a new transmission. Still a good deal or not, right? Anyway, hey, I'm gonna sign off from there. My name is Chuck Cassidy. Thank you for watching this video. We're taking a look at what it's like out there in the shark-infested waters of the auction schoolie life. Next week, who knows what's in store, but it's definitely gonna be something related to an aspect of turning a school bus into your dream home. Thanks. Don't go anywhere. Please come back and we'll see you next week. Hot dog.